What will moviegoing be like in the age of COVID-19? We were curious to find out whether moviegoers would ever feel comfortable again going to a movie theater and sitting in a darkened place surrounded by strangers. So we looked to Texas, which eased restrictions on theaters and other retail establishments, to see whether consumers would be willing to take some risk for the escape that going to the movies has always offered.
So in Texas, we have two of the theaters we have in Texas are the biggest theaters in Texas. So prior to the COVID-19 reality that we live in, our theater chain is the 24th largest in the United States, and that's measured by screens. And we were accustomed to anywhere between 5.2 and 5.4 million people a year coming through our theaters to enjoy the luxury recliners that we have and the great popcorn that we have. And you know, we're in the entertainment business, and it's just get away from life for a little while, forget about deadlines, forget about the pressures of school and the pressures of everything else. That's what we were accustomed to prior to March. As we were shutting down, because various parts of the country started to shut down at different times, by the middle of March, we were operating in a very different way already. We had started checkerboarding our seats, meaning you weren't going to sit side by side with somebody you didn't know. There was going to be space between you, space behind you. We weren't wearing masks back then, but we were starting to practice social distancing even inside of our theaters. It was a very different way of operating, and the attendance, frankly, had dropped down by the middle of March to about 5% of what we were accustomed to. We were not going to mandate that employees needed to come back to the office. So I said, we need to start making phone calls now, and we got to figure out, do the employees feel safe coming back to work? But if our employees had said, we don't feel comfortable coming back, we would not have opened. So we chose 3 theaters. We called the employees that had worked at those 3 theaters. And I would tell you, we had about an 80 to 85%, yes, I want to come back to work, which was cool. But candidly, the way we were operating when we shut down in March, our employees felt great. And so that's why we decided to open.
We are not going to see, obviously, an immediate return to normal levels of attendance at movie theaters anywhere in the country right now. And of course, in many parts of the country, it's going to be a long time before we see any opening of any theater doors. In some parts of the country, it's going to become more feasible to open movie theaters earlier, because clearly the virus is not as intense as it is in places like large metropolitan areas, New York City being the obvious and most extreme example. However, that said, I think there is going to be a level of caution demonstrated by the movie-going public when they consider whether or not they actually want to go back into the theater environment for different titles. We've been doing research on exactly this issue for the last several weeks, and we've seen that of moviegoers at the moment, 48% of moviegoers are actually saying that rather than go to the movie theaters, they see themselves in the future renting and purchasing movies. And that's not just now and in the next few months, that's going forward. They're saying they're going to do that rather than go back to the movie theaters, full stop.
The movie industry, the exhibition industry, has really been struggling. Over the last 2 decades, theatrical attendance has dropped, even as the number of screens nationwide have grown more than 10% over the last 2 decades to some 40,000 screens. Even though revenue has managed to increase, in fact, it's doubled over that time, the exhibitors have managed to accomplish that in large part through increased pricing. Now, that's going to be something hard for exhibitors to maintain, especially when so many people are now out of work.
And the social distancing has clearly made a huge difference in our country. The models that were put in place for COVID-19 early on did not contemplate social distancing, and they predicted far worse experiences and death rates than we've experienced. After social distancing, those numbers have come dramatically down, and now they're rebuilding all those models. We still need all the health experts and the health authorities to pull all that data together and have a definitive model. But the data I'm looking at in our area in Texas and in San Antonio, we haven't had a New York style outbreak or a Chicago style outbreak. So again, I'm looking at it from a data perspective. I suppose we're not going to get caught up in all the attention that we're getting, the most important thing that we have to do is just execute on what it is that we do every single day, right? Create that safe environment, show people it can be done. And if after all is said and done, we are a leader in terms of showing people the way, I'm happy for the industry.
What the movie theater business looks like going forward is really hard to pin down right now. Anybody who gives you a direct, prescriptive answer to that question is frankly either delusional or trying to sell you something. Nobody knows. And that's the challenge that everybody is trying to get their heads around right now, whether they're small family operated outfits, large chains, studios. It's hugely important to the whole industry. The physical kind of remnants of social distancing are going to be present in movie theaters for a long time.